This is the Grand Junction branch, the 2.6-mile rail line, which cuts through the heart of MIT's campus in Cambridge, is believed by many to be abandoned, and understandably so. Only one train per day typically rides these rails, and only on Sundays does it occur during daylight. So what about the nighttime? What's the train action like then? Join Boston by Rails in Part 2 of the Grand Junction, After Hours, to find out. The Grand Junction's importance to the MBTA commuter rail cannot be overstated. Despite the line's lackluster use, those rails remain silver because of near-daily MBTA and Amtrak moves over the territory, most often at night. Lots of things have changed about the Grand Junction since our last episode in this series, and even more major changes will be coming to the Grand Junction in the next few years. Some that may even threaten the future of this line. Those will be covered in an upcoming video on the unclear plans for this line. Keep an eye out for that. This video begins on the rainy night of March 28, 2024. This weather couldn't be any more Boston. Rainy and 40 degrees. Not quite winter, not quite spring. We are waiting for the Reedville switcher, MBTA's 6-time-per-week equipment move from Reedville Yard on the south side to the Boston Engine Terminal on the north side. This is the milepost 3.3 switch, where the Reedville switcher exits the Worcester Main Line territory and enters the Grand Junction and Boston North Side Terminal territory.
What's his name? Here we are, a rainy night in Boston. Reedville switcher chasing.
What a better time for trains.
With AJ.
Hi.
We'll see what happens.
In a moment, the crew of the switcher will walk onto the other end of the train and begin their trip down the Grand Junction. The eastern end of the Grand Junction spits eastbound trains directly into the Boston Engine Terminal at Swift Interlocking. Because this involves occupying busy territory, the Reedville switcher often has to wait for permission to proceed down the Grand Junction. Today is no exception. The switcher had to wait at Massachusetts Avenue for about 15 minutes for a Fitchburg Line train to clear the way. Amtrak also uses the Grand Junction a few nights per week. These operate with a crew based in Portland, Maine, taking down a set of equipment to the Southampton Street yard near South Station, and oftentimes returning to Maine with new equipment. Because the Downeaster is isolated from the rest of Amtrak's network, the Portland Extra serves as a link that discards broken equipment and refreshes the system with new equipment. On the night of January 4th, 2025, I got word of a Portland Extra that would be heading to Southampton Street Yard, with one of their non-powered control units leading. The Downeaster has a fleet of these cars that allow crews to control operation from the end opposite of a locomotive in service. NPCUs do not have the engines or tractive equipment of a normal locomotive, and are not capable of operating without a functioning locomotive in the consist. What makes these particular NPCUs special is that they are made up of former Amtrak F40s. Seeing one of these lead is always a treat, especially on non-Downeaster territory.
Amtrak Portland Extra, permission onto the Grand Junction, protecting Broadway, calling clear at Beacon Park. Is that correct, over?
That's correct, and are you coming back with a move to Portland or just a one-way trip tonight?
No, we will be returning with some different equipment over.
The 90213 is being sent to Southampton Street Yard for either maintenance or routine inspection, or something else. This portion of the line, by Fort Washington Park, is a stark contrast to the bright streets on the MIT campus. The Portland Extra typically takes an hour or two at Southampton Street Yard. They can return with any combination of equipment. Oftentimes, it's as simple as a locomotive and one coach, like on this August night.
Terminal Amtrak Portland Extra, Reedville.
Hello, good evening. We're over here at Beacon Park. We have the AMT 107 plus a coach. Just looking for permission to occupy the Grand Junction running track, over.
Roger, that's the AMT 107 plus one coach. You do have permission onto the Grand Junction at Beacon Park at 11:32, 1132 in the PM. And just protecting Broadway, over.
Roger, at this time Amtrak calling extra with the AMT 107 has authority to occupy the Grand Junction running track, protecting Broadway at 1132. And okay all the way down to Swift, over?
Yes, that's a roger. Okay, all the way down to Swift.
The trackage that these Grand Junction trains operate on has seen much change over the past year. Take a look at Lansdowne Station on the Worcester Line. An entire neighborhood is being constructed on top of it. I remember the days when this station was completely above ground, and it still feels odd to refer to this as an underground stop. The Grand Junction isn't much different. MIT has constructed building after building over the rail line. The Grand Junction Railroad Bridge is one of the most well-known features of this rail line. Operations on the Grand Junction have changed mightily over the past year with the addition of MBTA's newly refurbished GP40MC-3 locomotives from the Rochester shops. The 1117 and 1138, sporting a classic GP40MC paint scheme, can often be found on the switcher. On this April 2025 night, we find ourselves at Control Point 3 on the Worcester Main Line. It is here where the switcher receives its signal to enter Grand Junction territory. Tonight's switcher is exceptionally long. Tomorrow is the 250th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, so the MBTA is sending a special multi-level set to the Fitchburg line to help handle the high ridership. Right now, the switcher is stopped because the conductor is manually setting the switch onto the Grand Junction at milepost 3.3, like you saw earlier in the video. Leading today's move down the Grand Junction will be GP40MC 1138, one of the new GP40MC-3s. This move over the Grand Junction Railroad Bridge almost feels like foreshadowing to future rail service on the Grand Junction. It will probably be years until this ever happens, but until then, this is about the closest you can get. I love this switcher so much. With that marks the end of this episode of Catching Up with the Grand Junction, After Hours. I hope this video has helped you understand at least a little more about the importance of this often overlooked rail line. Lots of rumors have been spread about the future of this line over the past few months, and I think it's time that I make a video addressing the future of this line, and more importantly, why you should care about it. I plan on releasing a big video on this note sometime this summer, but until then, I will see you all again soon, out there on the rails.